A big shout out to Ellie, Adama, Angela, and Katerina for requesting today's story. Snow dusted the streets in soft white layers as the last afternoon light of December faded from the sky. Inside the Stahlbaum household, warmth and music floated through the grand rooms. The Great Christmas Party, an annual event that the entire town looked forward to, was nearly ready to begin. Garlands draped banisters like living ribbons, and the enormous evergreen tree stood crowned with a glittering star. Clara Stahlbaum, a girl on the edge between childhood and the first hints of maturity, ran between the parlors in a swirl of excitement. Her brother Fritz thundered behind her, waving a wooden sword and announcing imaginary victories over invisible enemies. "Look out! Oh, I'm going to get you." In the corner of the drawing room, their parents murmured final instructions to the servants, ensuring that every ribbon and candle was placed just so. They turned when the bell chimed at the door. Guests began to arrive in clusters: family, friends wrapped in furs, children in crisp holiday clothes, neighbors bearing gifts and warm wishes. The house filled with the delightful chaos of greetings, dancing children, laughter, and music from the small quartet hired for the evening. But for Clara and Fritz, one guest mattered more than all the others: their eccentric godfather, Herr Drosselmeer. When the clock struck 7, the doors opened once more to reveal him. Drosselmeer swept into the room like a gust of winter wind, cloaked in mystery. One of his eyes was covered by a small patch of tinted glass, part decoration, part tool, part enchantment, if one believed the rumors children often whispered. The children crowded around as he opened his long velvet bag. First, he lifted out a magnificent clockwork doll. It wore a miniature soldier's uniform. A wooden ballerina followed next. She spun gracefully in perfect circles, propelled by the gears within her chest. But then, Drosselmeer produced something simpler, humbler, a wooden nutcracker shaped like a little man, with painted eyes, a proud mustache, a soldier's uniform, and a levered jaw for cracking nuts. "This, my dear Clara, is for you." Clara's eyes widened in delight. She had always loved toys with stories hidden behind them, and something in the nutcracker's expression captured her heart instantly. Why did she get the best one? It isn't best. But Fritz had already grabbed it from her hands to test its jaw. He tried to crack a large walnut. The nutcracker's mouth snapped shut and broke. "I didn't mean to." Her brother lifted the nutcracker, now missing part of his jaw, and looked suddenly guilty. Clara turned pleading eyes toward Drosselmeer. He examined the wound with exaggerated seriousness, then smiled. "A simple fix. He will recover by morning, I think." Relieved, Clara carried the nutcracker close for the rest of the evening. The party glowed with music and dancing. Clara joined her friends in circling the Christmas tree, watching as candles were lit along its branches, bathing the entire room in warm light. But even through the joy and festivities, her thoughts remained with her nutcracker. When at last the guests departed and Clara's parents bid her and Fritz to bed, she hesitated. "May I keep him with me tonight?" "You may keep him in the sitting room. But it's late, Clara. Tomorrow is Christmas." Clara didn't argue, but when the house fell silent, she crept back to the tree. "I'll stay with you until you're better." The clock chimed midnight. A strange flutter filled the room. The candles flickered, shadows stretched, and Clara blinked up in surprise as the Christmas tree seemed to grow taller and taller until it towered like a gigantic forest canopy above her. The ornaments ballooned into enormous baubles, or was she shrinking? Before she could decide, a rustling sound echoed behind her. Dozens, then hundreds of beady-eyed mice, wearing tiny scraps of armor, wielding makeshift weapons. At their head strode the Mouse King, with 7 gleaming crowns upon his 7 heads. Clara gasped and backed away, then felt movement in her arms. The nutcracker stirred slowly. Impossibly, he rose from her grasp, growing to the size of a boy, then taller still. His wooden features softened into lifelike ones, though his posture remained soldier straight. "Look out!" Clara, trembling but trusting, obeyed. With a commanding shout, the nutcracker summoned an army. The toy soldiers Fritz had played with earlier sprang to life, marching in crisp formations. Drums beat, trumpets sounded, tiny yet fierce. The battle began with a flurry of scrambling and clacking boots. Clara clutched the side of a chair, watching as the Nutcracker fought valiantly. The Mouse King charged with all 7 heads, snarling. When the Mouse King cornered the Nutcracker, Clara acted on instinct. She seized one of her slippers and hurled it with all her strength. It struck one of the Mouse King's crowns, and in that moment of confusion, the Nutcracker leapt forward and defeated him. The mouse army scattered into the shadows. "You saved my life,"